Dave actually memed me. He said, should I run that Kagero card that takes a card from my drop and add it to my hand during a... Hi, this is ColdKlaus here for post-DBT 13 Messiahs. So, right now, Chaos is the best Link Joker deck right now, but Messiah is still really fun, and even if Overlord has the ability to fix locked cards, this is still a really fun deck to play. Right now I'm using Chaos right now mainly, but Messiah is still pretty okay. It's really fun. So for grade zeros, I use the starter, Neon Messiah Orion. So right now I'm not using the old one because it searches just the grade 3 Messiah. And right now I'd rather have an extra card in my hand that's not a grade 3 just because you don't need them past the first stride. I want to see my grade 2s and my grade 1s a lot more often, so Orion is a better choice in that regard. So with the triggers, I'm playing 8 crit and 4 draw, so I'm using 4 of the Blink Messiahs and 4 of the Paradigm Shift Dragons. So Blink Messiah is just really good with the synergy with Alter Ego. There's no reason not to run it. And with Starvader Paradigm Shift, even though you can't lock a card with it, you can still pay the cost and put it back into its deck. So you can prevent deck out, and it's just better than a vanilla. And I will use 4 draw triggers. All it is just Into the Soul plus 3k to a unit. And there's no reason not to run it. 4 draw is really good. Draw is just good early so you can get to what you need. And there's enough extra draw in the rest of the deck that you don't need to run 6 or 8. And then I run 4 of the Karina heal triggers. So this is just used for Lacus Karina. It's just better than vanilla. So for grade 1s, I use 4 of the new Perfect Guard. So a lot of the new units don't cost Counterblast, especially the grade 3 that you're going to be using. So you don't need to use the Countercharger Perfect Guard. And this has an effect where if it's in the drop zone, you bind it, and choose 2 of your units and lock them as a cost, and you get a draw card. So it's really good because it pays for itself if you can lock 2 of your units, and this can set up Harmonix Neon Messiah if you need 5 locked cards in order to get its extra effects, but I'll be able to explain that later. Next, I run 4 of Sacrifice Messiah. Sacrifice Messiah runs the deck. It makes anything that costs a Counterblast and locks itself free by using this to pay for itself. So whenever another card is locked, you can lock it, countercharge, and choose a unit to get plus 3k. So any grade 2 that locks itself, you can lock this as well after boosting, and when everything unlocks, it'll be just back as stand. So like I said, it makes everything free, and it gives plus 3ks. Also, if you want to use Karina to lock your units during your opponent's turn, or if your opponent is playing Link Joker, you can also lock a couple of these and give your Vanguard plus 3k or plus 6k if you've got 2 of them. So this is the main card that makes everything free. You want this in the back row, 2 or 3 of these at all times. Next, I play 3 of the second best right behind Sacrifice, Dunamis Messiah. So this is one of the new Link Joker cards. So after this boost, you Soul Blast. You choose up to one of your locked cards and unlock it. So you don't have to unlock a card, but you can. And then you lock this unit. So after it boosts, you can lock itself at the cost of a Soul Blast. And you can also choose a unit to gain 4k. So Dunamis, like Sacrifice, is something that can lock itself after it boosts, and it can stand up after you use your main stride effects. It costs a Soul Blast, and souls get really expensive in this deck unless you're using the Lady Fencer to Soul Charge or you're using your triggers to Soul Charge. But still, you want to see these grade 1s as much as possible, which is why I'm running 3 of these. So since I'm running 3 of those grade 1s, I'm only running 3 of the Stride Fodder Destiny Dealer. So I'm running a combination of 7 grade 3s and 3 Destiny Dealer, which is 10. That's the minimum amount I would usually run so I can get a good early game stride off. So I'd either go between 3 and 3, or 4 Destiny Dealer and 2 Dunamis Messiah if you feel like you can't get your first stride off very easily. But I like to see these more often. And Destiny Dealer can also help you get the new grade 3 that you want instead of the old Alter Ego. So for grade 2s, I run 4 Lady Fencer, Matter Transmission. So for all of my grade 2s, all of my grade 2s had the ability to lock themselves after battle. This is the most general build that you can use. I'm not using Metalla or Awakening. I'm not putting a focus on that strategy, only because Overlord is very popular right now, and Denial Griffin just screws up the entire strategy of just making one really good unit to attack with. So Lady Fencer, when it attacks, you counterblast 1 and you soul charge, and then it gains plus 5k until the end of the battle. And then at the end of the battle, you lock it. So whenever it's placed on rear or when it's unlocked, it gains 11k. So by itself, if you counterblast, it'll usually be a 16k, which is really nice. Also, it soul charges. So Lady Fencer helps pay for the cost of Dunamis. So this is a really good column with Lady Fencer and Dunamis. This is one of the things that you want to see most often. Or if you use Lady Fencer and Sacrifice, like I said, you counterblast, lock itself. When this is locked, you use this, lock itself and countercharge. So you get power through counterblast, but Sacrifice makes a lot of stuff free. If you have Dunamis instead for Lady Fencer, you'll use up a lot of counterblasts, but like I said before, a lot of stuff doesn't require counterblast anymore, so it's a little bit easier to pay the cost for attacking units. So I run 4 of these, and then I run 4 of Black Dwarf. So Black Dwarf is just Lady Fencer, but slightly worse. After the battle, you counterblast 1, lock it, and give another unit plus 5k. So you can either use it to give it to another one of your rear guards that's attacking, or you could use Black Dwarf, counterblast 1, lock itself, give 5k to the Vanguard, and then use this, lock itself, countercharge, and then give plus 3k. So this column gave you a free 8k to Vanguard, and you didn't have to, and overall it's net no cost for counterblast. So 4 of these is very nice. And then 4 Arrestor Messiah. So when it's placed on rear, you get a plus 2k. So it's 11k by itself when you place it. And after the battle, if it attacks, you lock itself and you lock a back row. So you can either offensively lock the opponent if they have a hard time dealing with lock, or say you've got another unit behind here, you can lock it and then lock your back row. It's also very useful to have Arrestor behind Sacrifice because, of course, this will go off anytime a unit is locked. So you lock itself and then lock itself, and you get 3 units locked overall. So overall, just 12. There are 2 different builds running around where you use either this layout or you use 3 Lady Fencers and then 4 Metalla, 4 Awakening. Like I said, it's too weak to removal, so just getting all of these pieces into your hand and having a high hand count. So even if these units are retired, you just have more units that lock themselves after they attack. All right, so for grade 3s, I run 4 of the new main. This is Alter Ego Neo Messiah. So the first thing about this that makes it better than the old Alter Ego Messiah is that everything with this is costless in terms of counterblasts. So firstly, when you have a Messiah that strides on this, only a Messiah, you can choose up to 1 of your units from your hand and call it, so up to 1. Then you choose up to 1 unit on both sides and lock them. So normally what you'll do early is you'll lock your starter for Orion, and then you'll call another, and you won't call any units, you'll just lock Orion, and then you'll lock an opponent's unit. So that's very nice. And then it's got a second effect. So at the end phase, if you unlocked any unit during your turn with an effect. So normally it'll be your stride that'll do that. If you did that, you can Soul Blast to draw 2 cards. So before Alter Ego Messiah had a GB2, that what you would do is you would Soul Blast and say you unlock 3 units, Soul Blast 3 to draw 3. So this gets you more cards per soul, but it doesn't give you a lot of cards at one time. So sometimes you don't have as big of a momentum swing, but this is more consistent and makes it so that you can use your soul for Dunamis Messiah. And then, of course, I'm just running 3 of the old Alter Ego Messiah, just for the name. You can ride this and use it if you don't have any other options, but the counterblast cost does get pretty heavy if you don't have Sacrifice Messiahs. And like I said before, you're not going to normally need any other grade 3s after your first stride. You're just going to be looking to throw out grade 2s and grade 1s on your field. So all of this is just for consistency and stride fodder. So for the grade 4 lineup, I use 2 Amnesty Messiahs. So normally, the new Basaltus Messiah is going to be my first stride, but Amnesty Messiah, early game, this is the only unit that can unlock a large amount of units on your side of the field. So Basaltus at first can only unlock one, but I'll get to that in a bit. But if you want to have early game push with Amnesty, at the cost of not drawing an extra card for its effect, you can just unlock 3 units, get 35,000 power and a crit. So it's very, very nice. I run 1 because sometimes you want to use it as your first stride, and you might need to use it one other time. So right now I'm running 2. And then I'm running 4 Basaltus Messiah. So this is one of the new cards. All it is when it attacks, you counterblast 1 and flip up a copy, and say if you have 3 units face up in your G zone, you can unlock up to 3 units for yourself and lock up to 3 units for the opponent. So it's good for mass lock and it's good for mass unlock. You can, and also if you unlocked any units, you can draw a card. So normally what you can do is if you stride this first, you can stride it, unlock 1 unit for a multiple attack, draw a card, or you unlock Orion so you get 2 cards overall, and then at the end of your turn, you will have your GB2 so you can Soul Blast to draw 2 cards. So Basaltus Messiah, if you use this first stride and you're very conservative, you can usually end up with around 12 to 13 cards in your hand. And what it does is just a very nice setup for your second or third stride. And sometimes you'll want to use it multiple times for the late game, like 4 or 5 lock if they can't deal with it. Then I run 2 of the finisher of the deck, Genesis Dragon Harmonix Neo Messiah. So this is also costless. All it is just turn a G unit face up. So if you haven't used Seabreeze, you'll flip that. But what it does is when it attacks, you unlock all locked units. So all of yours and all of your opponents. And the unit gets 5k for each of them. So say you unlocked 5 of yours and 2 of your opponents, it gets 5 times 7. So it gets 35,000. And if you unlocked 5 more units, it has a Dragstrider Lure Artist effect where it will restrict grade 1 or higher from the hand. So you can still G-Guard, but it's a very, very large number. And then also it'll give a 5k boost to everything for you that you unlocked. So normally you're going to use this, lock all the units on your field with either your grade 2s or your Perfect Guard. So the Perfect Guard is very good for setting up Harmonix Neo Messiah. If you're going up against a Link Joker opponent and you're worried that they'll use Destiny Guardian to unlock units, or they'll use Denial Griffin to retire your units before you lock themselves, you basically just can set up an entire field lock before you attack. And then just attack with your Vanguard first, unlock 5. So you don't really have to worry about that. There is some counterplay that you can do, and you can usually get off second to third stride a very, very good turn, and it's not that hard to set up. So after that, I use 2 Genesis Dragon Transcells Messiah. So all this is counterblast 1, flip up a copy, and it reverses the game state in terms of locked and unlocked cards. So unlock all locks and then lock all unlocked cards. The one reason why you use this right now after GB213 with Thovis running around is that this card does not choose targets. So it gets around resist. So it can mass lock a resist field, and it's very nice. The only thing that it doesn't work against is Metallia Messiah, but hopefully you're not playing the mirror match and you don't see a lot of those running around. So like Chaos Breaker Deluge, this is a card that can fix resist. So you want to run 2 of those. After that, I run a Seabreeze because this is a G-era deck. You just sometimes need to use it. It's pretty heavy on the counterblast, but hopefully you've got a Sacrifice Messiah. And then for G-Guards, I run 5 G-Guards. I run 2 Lady Healers from the Structure deck. Normally it's a Soul Blast one. It gets plus 5k if there is a locked card on the field at all, and then another 5k for your Messiah Vanguard. So this is just your 25,000 guard, which is nice. Then next I run 1 Destiny Guardian. Destiny Guardian, you can use this in combination with your Lacus Karina or your Demon Maxwell. So what you can do is you can use Demon Maxwell, lock one of your own rear guards, use Sacrifice Messiah, lock it, and the Destiny Guardian can unlock 2. Or in the mirror match, Destiny Guardian can just unlock locked units that they lock for you or for Chaos. And if you do, it just gets plus 10k guard. Normally you have strides that unlock, so Destiny Guardian is kind of redundant. You don't want to run too many of it, just 1's enough. And then like I have here, I run 1 Lacus Karina. This gets around Deleter's given turn, so they have to sacrifice themselves in 4 units in order to get a restand. this can mess it up at just the cost of a counterblast. And also it locks your own units. So you can lock your own units and proc Sacrifice Messiah, counterblast cards, and give power to your Vanguard. And then Demon Maxwell, same reason as Lacus Karina. It's an easy 20k shield. So overall, this is mainly focused on multi-attacks through the grade 2. You will normally want to see any of these at any point in the game for your strides. The main point of the game is just to get these and some Sacrifice or Dunamis Messiahs behind them, attack, lock themselves, unlock with strides, and they go as stand. So it's very straightforward. The only thing that I would change about this deck is if I ran less grade 3s, I would run the old Neon Messiah. So say I'm running 6 or 5, I would probably run just the old one just so I can put it in the deck and get a stride fodder for next turn. But other than that, like I said, not the best against Overlord, because this deck doesn't lock a lot other than Basaltis, but it's still a very fun combo deck that you can use. And it's got a, if not subpar, mostly even deck matchup against Chaos. But all right, that's the deck list.